Good afternoon. I want to talk today. It's October, the 2nd of October, so I want to talk about Christmas. I'm on 57th Street between First Avenue and Sutton Place, very grand part of town, and I want to talk to you about Chelsea, a wholly different part of town. So, as befits an Englishman talking about New York as though he knows it, let's contradict a few things. So, Clement Clark Moore, you may have heard the name. He's pretty well known in America, and many people in the UK know him because, if not by name, his poem, "Twas the Night Before Christmas." And Clement Clark Moore lived in Chelsea, in a house called Chelsea, when that part of town was all orchards and rolling hills. It was a country estate. And the story has it that he was taking his children to see relatives. They were a bit fidgety, and so he composed this story for them, and then later perfected it. So, why was it called Chelsea, the house? Well, it was named after Chelsea's Royal Hospital in London. It's still there. It was founded in 1682, but it's still there today. Charles II's gift to army veterans. And it's not only is it there, but it's still in its acreage, acts as a retreat for the Chelsea pensioners. And many a visitor to London wants a selfie, or at least a picture, of a Chelsea pensioner, or they normally go around in pairs, strolling the streets in their bright red tunics. So, Clement Clark Moore was not a convinced poet, although he wrote quite a lot that he eventually put into a compendium. He was principally an academic, quite the academic. He spoke fluent Hebrew. He founded the theological seminary, which is also still in Chelsea. And you can see it. I think it started in 1827, and you can still see it today between 20th and 21st Streets and 9th and 10th Avenues. So he was a hard-assed academic, and there was some doubt about the authorship of the poem for a while, perhaps because of that. Perhaps he didn't want such a trifle to be associated with his augustness. But it was in the end included in a compendium of his works, of his poetry anyway, at the urging of his children. And he put it in, and other scholars are pretty certain that it was indeed his work. It's properly entitled A Visit from St. Nicholas, and it was important socially, possibly even religiously. Remember that he founded the seminary, for a couple of reasons. The elite in New York in those days, to some people would claim it still is, a Protestant one. And there was an increasing popularity of Christmas Day as the season's big holiday, moving away from New Year's Day. And it was thought of as Catholic skullduggery to mess with religion and its dates that way. By picturing St. Nick as a jolly old elf, bestowing gifts on Christmas Eve, not on the religious Christmas Day, and by centering it on children, Clark Moore neatly moved the holiday out of the line of fire. So, when you're wandering around the streets on your next visit to New York, or at least your next visit to Chelsea, you spot the seminary, and spot the little playground, park and playground, named after Moore on the southeast corner of 10th Avenue and 22nd Street. So as the 1811 grid plan cut through the country estate, the neighbourhood of Chelsea was slowly developed. And today, note the red brick, the 1840s red brick row houses, low stoops, pilasters, those flat columns that lie against walls, and the 1850s brownstones, which have higher stoops and elaborate door and window ornamentation. For a while, Chelsea was quite the place to be. Grand Opera House on 23rd Street, near 8th Avenue, no longer there, and Madison Square Garden, actually in Madison Square Garden. But the city's inexorable march north soon left it to become the quiet residential neighbourhood that in many ways it remains today. Anyway, let's do the poem. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads, and Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the lustre of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the great hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his back. His eyes, how they twinkled! His dimples, how merry! His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying a finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night. So that's the poem. The interesting thing is, we get many of our modern notions of Father Christmas from this poem. Not all. Many know that modern-day Santa was dressed in red and white by Coca-Cola. Before that, he was often in forest green. Here, he's in fur, from head to foot, besmirched in soot and ashes. But here's the thing, if you read carefully, the poem's often been heard, but I wonder sometimes whether people listen, because if you read carefully, you'll be able to answer children who wonder at his ability to get down their chimney. He's an elf. The little old driver rides a miniature sleigh drawn by 8 tiny reindeer. So, however big Santa Claus is in your life, Father Christmas, he was small. Merry imaginings and Merry Christmas. By the time this comes out, it will soon be past. Bye.